The most important piece of advice that I could give to any potential missionary would be to pray about it. Don't just go out and serve. Heavenly Father has a plan for each of us individually in our lives, and for some, especially sisters, for some sisters, that plan doesn't include a mission, and that's okay. My two older sisters didn't serve missions, and they're both happily married in the temple. And it just depends on your life, and I saw too many missionaries that would go out into the field and have a desire to serve, but it just wasn't where they were supposed to be, and they would end up going home. Or it would get hard, and they would end up going home. My mission in particular was extremely hard, and the only thing that kept me out there, well, there was a lot of things, mostly the atonement of Christ, but the knowledge that I had that was where I was supposed to be because of the prayer that I had. I prayed for about 6 months after the age change before I decided to go on my mission. I was actually in college. I was playing golf at my university. I had a full ride scholarship, and I knew that a mission would be a great thing, but I knew that it also wasn't for everyone. And so I made the decision to pray about it for 6 months before I decided if that was really where I was supposed to be. And because of that prayer and because of the time I took to pray about it and to really make that decision and to be mindful and have Heavenly Father as a part of the planning, that helped me to know that was where I was supposed to be, and it wasn't just hard because I wasn't supposed to be there. It was hard because missions are hard.
Honestly, all growing up, my plan hadn't necessarily been to go on a mission. It had been to play college soccer. And I just think that sometimes God's plans aren't your plans. And so even if you feel like I'm supposed to do this or this makes more sense, I would say just come to that point and humble yourself enough that you really can kneel down and ask God. And after that point, like, maybe you'll get a strong answer and maybe you won't. And if you don't, make a decision. Say, okay, maybe I'm going to go play soccer. Maybe I'm going to go to school here. Or maybe I'm going to get married. And I think that God will stop you if that's not what you're supposed to do. If they're two righteous things, I think sometimes we need to make that decision. And for me, I never got like 100% like yes, like a really strong, like you're supposed to go. But as I made that decision, I felt so much peace and happiness, and nothing ever really stopped me. And even like out on my mission, people would ask me, and I was like, I'm out here because the gospel makes me happy, and it's like a part of who I am today, and it just feels right. Like my life wouldn't be the same without it. Like I didn't have a huge why I'm on a mission, but I don't know. It was just those little things, and nothing ever stopped me, and now my life is 100 times different because of that experience.
So as a little girl, it was something I always wanted to do. Both of my parents went on missions, and I was just really excited for that opportunity. And as I got older, I started wondering if that was what I should do. I was really friendly as a kid, but as I got older, I became more of a shy person and decided kind of not to serve a mission because I was just terrified of talking to people and all those things. And so I was thinking maybe that's not what I want to do, and in the end I just made it a matter of prayer. I fasted about it. I tried to live like a missionary. I'd wake up at 6:30, go to bed at 10:30, read my scriptures, all these things, and read my patriarchal blessing. And in the end, I prayed about it and asked God if I should go, and I wasn't really getting an answer. And so then I asked God, okay, I want to go. I'm scared, but I think I should do it. And that was when I realized, yes, that was what I needed to do. And since I made that decision, since I received that confirmation, it was just uphill from there. I was able to feel like that was what I needed to do, and I could always fall back on that as my strength.
What made me decide to serve a mission? My parents were converts. I think I was 4 or 5 years old when they were taught the gospel. And I remember seeing the sister missionaries for the first time and the spirit that we felt whenever they taught us. And I distinctly remember saying that I'll wear one of those one day. They're name tags, referring to them, name tags, of course. And it was just because they were role models to me So I wanted to be like them. But as my testimony grew in the gospel, it became more about the atonement of Jesus Christ and the fact that I wanted to share his atonement to my brothers and sisters who are in need of it, who don't even have any idea of it. So that was my, I guess, pre-missionary conversion experience, or what made me decide to go on a mission. And preparing for it, I worked with the missionaries every week. When I was a young woman, I worked with the missionaries diligently.
My decision to serve a mission was kind of unique. I think I'd always said, like, all growing up that I was like, yeah, for sure, like, I'll serve a mission if it feels right when the time comes. And then all of a sudden the time came and I was panicking. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I was totally terrified. And so I said some mighty prayers to know whether or not that was what God wanted for me to do. And after a few months of these prayers, I just got frustrated because I didn't feel like I was receiving any answers. And then all of a sudden, I remember I was just reading my scriptures one day, just doing my personal study. And I remember the good Lord was just like, Catherine, like, the reason you're not getting an answer is because you're not listening to what I'm telling you. And it was this like amazing moment for me where I realized that my heart was not in the right place, that I was hoping the answer was no because I was just so scared. I was just literally so scared to go. And so I realized that my heart wasn't right though, and that I needed to go to God with a correct heart. So my prayer changed from help me to want to do whatever it is that you want me to do. And so a few weeks later, maybe it was a month or so later, I can't remember, but I just remember I was sitting in sacrament one day and I was just like, okay, like I honestly feel like I could go to God and ask him whether or not he wanted me to serve. And so I did, and it was just so interesting once my heart was in the right place. It was just like, oh, of course. And it was almost, I was so grateful, like, thank you, for letting me go. So it's just like this super fascinating process how God just helped me to change my heart so much even before I served.
They had made the age change. I was still 18, so I had to wait a whole year. And I just decided one day that I was going to go. Nothing was working out. I was just like, where do I go for school? I don't know what I want to study. So I just decided to go on my mission because I knew there was nothing bad about that. But I hadn't had like an overwhelming feeling that was what I needed to do. I just kind of knew that it wasn't a bad thing in my life. So I just kind of took a really big leap of faith and just went for it. And actually before my mission, I felt really uneasy. Like, should I go? Like, is this even, I haven't had a confirmation like everyone talks about. I'm just like gonna go out there. And it wasn't actually until my second area with my third companion that I got the answer that's when I needed to serve a mission. So I don't know, I don't think that we all need to be looking for those experiences that are like the burning in the bosom. Sometimes we just have to follow our hearts and have the desire to follow our Heavenly Father, and things will fall into place.
I think that I always knew that I would serve a mission, but I really didn't vocalize it much. I didn't really talk about it too much just because I felt like for me, if I was going to serve a mission, it was going to be my decision and I was going to do it. And so when the time was coming, I was 20 at the time, and this was before the age change had happened. And so it was about 8 months before my birthday, and I began thinking about it, and I just couldn't really think about much else. When planning my life, I just couldn't seem to plan it past August, which was my 21st birthday. And so I just thought, you know what, I think I'm supposed to go on a mission. I think that's kind of what I'd been feeling for a long time. And so a couple months had passed by, and I went and I talked to my bishop, and I told him, I know I don't turn 21 for another 6 months or so, but I want to get started. And so when the time came, I started my mission papers, and it just felt so right. And I'd kind of been of the mindset, I'll submit my papers when I'm 21. I don't want to be too anxious about it. I just want to make sure it's the right thing. But once I started them, it just felt so right to keep going forward with the process. And so I received my call in May, and I didn't turn 21 until August, but I received my call in May, and it just felt like the right thing to do. And it was interesting because I never had this big
answer, a big confirmation. It just felt good and it felt right. And I felt like it was a good thing that God wanted me to do, and it's something that I wanted to do as well.